I was just wondering if you could make a little more noise.
No. What are them cauliflower ears called in wrestling?
Cauliflower ears.
It's just called. It's not. Yeah. That's the technical term.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm sure.
Doc, I got a bad case.
Right.
Oh, my dear boy, it looks like you have cauliflower ear.
Yes, your ear looks like a cauliflower.
What is that? No. I do not. I protest.
Welcome back to the Jack of the Shadows podcast, episode 16. I'm Eric VC, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite stuffing and potatoes, Adam and Dave. Say hello, Adam.
Oh, yes. I'll be that stuffing.
Oh, I'm going to be the potatoes because Hans is with the stuffing, and then he's gone.
That's Dave. Together, we are the VC boys, and for this episode, we read chapters 25 through 30 of A Crown of Swords. We will begin the meat of our episode with our chapter summary and view from Dragonmount, followed by a conversation about our favorite moment and what shook your Willow.
I see what you did there.
Next, we
Stuffing,
will deal with the former Queen of Andor and Morgase in the hole before more development of the history of the kin and hiding kin plain sight. We'll then learn what we can about our daring rogue and taken to the mat. We'll also learn a little more about the movements of the Forsaken. So it's time for another round of Fear of the Dark. Finally, we'll wrap up with our Coplin of the week and who leveled up.
It sounds like a delightful time.
So without further ado, let's grab our springboard and take a running start to launch ourselves to the top of the White Tower's sole rival for elevation in a view from Dragonmount.
Just happened.
Let me try that again.
What was that?
Because yeah.
It sounded good in your head.
So without further ado,
sorry.
Well, the way that I pronounced it, it just sounded like I kept saying one sentence after another.
I was thinking, should I be able to understand in my head what is being said?
Was that decipherable? I don't know.
Is this on me?
Was that even English? I don't know.
So
maybe it isn't.
Without further ado, let's grab our springboard, take a running start, and launch ourselves to the top of the White Tower's sole rival for elevation in our view from Dragonmount.
There we go.
I like it.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me now.
This episode's reading started with chapter 25, Mind Trap with the Forsaken Glyph. So Mogedian. Yeah, right. That's right. Mogedian. So Mogedian wakes in a dream she's had a number of times before. Halima reveals herself to Mogedian as Erengar. During the dream, Mogedian creates a gateway and travels in the dream world to Shael Ghul, where she is greeted by Shaidar Haran. Hey, we have a Shaidar Haran sighting.
Oh, and it is so creepy.
Well, as is his wont.
Yeah, but that whole scene is so scary.
Yeah, Mogedian's laid out on a cliff and then reveals she was lying to the Power Girls about a way to detect a man channeling. Remember all that work they did with that thing that she told them, that process that she told them they could see a man was channeling?
She was like, but they don't do it anymore because they got headaches.
I can't imagine why.
Because it wasn't really a thing, so they were just beating their heads against the wall repeatedly.
She was very proud of that.
Yeah,
she's like, but don't you know how I work?
She highlighted it as one of the good things that she had done during her time of cowardice and giving away all of the Forsaken secrets.
All the goodies.
Well, Gideon thinks she's going to die here, but instead she's trapped in a Korsuvra for a time after being told by Shaitan that she may still be able to serve him. So she's trapped in this mind trap, but he says, maybe when it's all done, you'll still be able to serve me.
Not me.
The dream is about to repeat itself, but she wakes to find herself a captive of Shaidar Haran.
The dream is still alive.
Who she addresses as Maikova, one who owns me, because as she desperately pleads for her life. He has her mind trap on a necklace. Shaidar Haran then transports her to a room in what appears to be owned by a wealthy merchant somewhere near Shael Ghul. She meets Moradin, a man in black pants and boots and a white shirt. He has arrestingly blue eyes and tells her that she's been in a vacuole for a day and 2 nights.
Whatever that is.
Can we take 1 second to talk about how Shaidar was how Shidar got her to that point, and she thought her face was just going to get bashed against a wall.
Yeah, he had her trapped in a room
too earlier.
Yes, and
he was doing some stuff to this gal.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is it's all a dream. Like, this is all a dream. This whole thing is right up until she ends. Well, she's had it a number of nights in a row. So, but then she pulls out of it finally, and is in the hands of this. Well, she's in the hands of Shidar Haran, and then she finds herself in the hand of this merchant who calls himself Mordrin.
A fancy boy. Death.
From above.
Or Moradin, sorry, not Mordrin. A vacuole is a bubble outside of time where experiments can and were performed during the Age of Legend. So, Dave, you asked what it was. That's what it is. The vacuole is temporary, however, and once it collapses, everything within it is destroyed. So Morgedian's terrified that this thing is going to collapse with her in it, which, of course, it doesn't. Morgedian sees by the Sa surfing across Moradin's eyes that he has access to the true power.
There that is again.
Yeah, we learn from Morgedian's point of view that the true power can be used by the Forsaken, but that it is such an unpleasant experience, they only use it in dire circumstances. So we were wondering about that, and we get an answer to it. Morgedian reveals that only 29 others have been given access to the true power. Mordrin reveals that he now controls Morgedia's core Suvra. Which takes us to chapter 26, the irrevocable words with the Children of Light's glyph. Morgase lies in bed thinking on her children's fate as well as her own since the death of Pedron Niall. She's now in control of Eamon Valda and Usanawa. Valda and Usanawa headed north for Amador to battle the followers of the Prophet the day before, so she's alone. Brianna then enters proffering something to drink and then criticizes Morgase for her demeanor. Morgase has slept with Eamon Valda, it seems, to avoid the torture of Usanawa and is ashamed by it, leading to her current morbid state. Talanvor then enters with Gil and Lamgwin outside. Basil Gil seems to have seen several large flying creatures land atop the South Barracks, and several men climbed off of them.
He was shooken.
Quite.
Next, Talanvor sees something alight on the North Barracks. Talanvor has Morgase wait for another creature to descend. It seems the fortress is under attack.
Did you see? Oh, you're far too young.
Morgase senses the power being used and thinks perhaps the Aes Sedai are attacking the White Cloaks. Morgase dresses and prepares to receive the Aes Sedai. The battle builds around the fortress and then fades away. As the sun rises approaching midday, a Shan-Chan commander enters the queen's apartments and commands that she follow him. Morgase notices that she doesn't recognize these people as they lead her to Eamon Valda's chambers.
I don't think she knew their accents even. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, she doesn't recognize the accents or the armor. She passes a Terraboner soldier, which surprises her because she's assumed the state was still in rebellion. She then sees a Suldam and a Damani. Morgase is introduced to the High Lady Suroth. Suroth informs Morgase of her and the Shan-Chan's purpose on the continent, which is to take over everything. She talks of how they've conquered Terabon already, and Morgase informs Suroth that the nations will simply not stand by while she and her army take over the continent. Suroth,
it's not taking over, Eric. It's regathering what was once theirs.
Yes, correct. They're just friendly farmers out for a walk.
Just coming back to me.
That's right. Yeah, this slurred speech.
It's
amazing she didn't just assume these people were all intoxicated, especially after they offered her that calf.
Yeah,
or
that's
cough,
true.
for that matter.
Suroth then has Thera perform a dance, so Morgase will realize the Shan-Chan royal has enslaved Thera, and she's actually the Panarch of Terabon.
Wasn't there some moment there that Suroth would... Who was it that made the person dance? Was it Suroth?
Suroth, yeah.
Well, who was the one that made the comment, oh, don't have her dance that dance?
Oh, that was Suroth, who was like, no, Thera, you idiot, or something like that. Thera, the other one.
Yeah, it was someone else that had her do the dance. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That was very funny to me.
Yeah.
was like, what's going to happen?
She just says it under her breath, like, you're a bumbling idiot for taking her to do that stupid dance.
Yeah.
Morgase is then dismissed and escorted back to her room. She learns the men have left to see what is going on about the fortress. Morgase says the irrevocable words that abdicate the throne for Elaine's ascendance. The men then return with Balwer, who has a plan to escape, but Morgase is dubious. Talonvor threatens to bind Morgase to take advantage of Balwer's plan, and Morgase accepts the plan.
Oh, don't bind me, Talonvor. Don't do it.
Talonvor, don't think about binding me.
The group escapes Amador, and Morgase is no longer the Queen of Andor. Chapter 27.
Does anyone else know this? Or is it just her?
It's just her.
Well, that's kind of weird.
Chapter 27, to
dead.
be alone.
That's true.
With Perrin's glyph. So Perrin prepares to leave Kyrian. Perrin and Rand have argued over Rand's decision to hand the Aes Sedai over to the Wise Ones.
I did not like these arguments.
It's led to Rand tossing Perrin out with the One Power and telling him to leave the city. So not good. Perrin is in conversation with Loyal, who informs him that he and Carlden are going to visit the Steading and the Waygates to ensure they're guarded.
All the setting through the Waygates. How's that going to go?
It's going to take a little bit of time. Yeah.
Oof.
But it seems that Rand has decided to send people off on things that are going to take time. So he's sending people away from him. It seems in addition to sending off Perrin and Loyal, Rand is also avoiding Min, leaving him really totally alone. Perrin heads off to meet Fael with a contingent of 2 Riversmen, 6 Wise Ones, and their Aes Sedai charges. They meet with Fael outside the city, and Fael has Bane, Shead, Sulin, and a dozen other maidens along with her. Also with Fael are Salanda, Kamail, and some other Kyrianan and Tyran who are mimicking the Aiel ways, the Giato. Some gateways are opened, and the group moves through to Gildan. They're joined by Barrelane and the winged guards led by Havan Nurel and Bertane Galena. After everyone has made their way through the gate... Yes, Bertans. After everyone has made their way through the gateways, Perrin explains why they have arrived and that they're all going to talk to Queen Alliandra to explain that they're not there to invade, and then they're moving on to fight the people following Massima and creating chaos in the area. And really, they're going to move on to subdue them. They don't necessarily want to fight them, but knowing the way these people are, there's going to be a battle. There's going to be a battle.
There are going to be some words.
Words will be said.
Chapter 28, bread and cheese.
Oh, bread and cheese.
Bread and cheese.
What a chapter.
With the Aiel glyph. Oh, man.
Usually I'm excited about bread and cheese.
It's the day after Matt's been invited into the palace and he's been moving in. He considered not accepting the offer, but with the dice stopping to roll in his head, he was curious as to why, so here he is.
Those darn dice.
He walks through the hall outside his rooms and runs into Vannon, who volunteers to observe Carradine for the day rather than spend it amongst the nobility. Matt returns to the wandering woman to pay his bill, and it seems Kyra has been punished for what she must have said about Matt after she escorted Birgitta to his rooms. Matt returns to his rooms in the palace and is accosted by a handsy Tylan, who Matt kisses but tries to fend off. The two are interrupted by Tom and Julian, who, after Tylan takes her leave, inform Matt that Elaine and Nynaeve have not returned yet because they're still being held up by the kin. Julian informs Matt that Birgitta and Avienda are spying on Carradine, so that can't be where Elaine and Nynaeve have gone. Matt leaves there to visit Ulver, who's flirting brazenly with his giggling serving maids, and then Matt returns to his rooms before being joined by Elaine, Nynaeve, Tom, and Julian. Nynaeve and Elaine have just returned from their visits to the kin, and Matt informs them that moving forward, they will have a guard of 2 men around them at all times. And surprisingly, Elaine and Nynaeve offer enthusiastic support for this plan.
Good idea.
It wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that they just left the kin and were attacked by 2 random people. tour came out of the crowd. Matt then heads to the riverfront tavern called the Rose of the Eldar.
This is not a place I want to be.
He's going there to spy on those coming and going from the House of the Kin. Matt is here with Nelessian, Tom, and Julin at the order of Elaine and Nynaeve. He's counting on his Ta'veren nature to allow him to stumble onto something significant, but nothing happens that day.
Dave, this would be your nightmare. Old fish. Weak old fish.
Yeah, he's sitting there eating. Well,
oh my gosh.
At first he's drinking ale, and then the ale is so bad that he decides to drink the tea. The tea is barely more tolerable than the ale. And then they come and they offer him fish dinner, and he's like, that stuff stinks. I'm not. I'll just sit here and starve.
Have oysters instead.
Right. Yeah. I'll just have this sushi.
That's disgusting.
All right. So
it was a stew. It wasn't sushi.
Returning to the palace, Matt finds an invitation to dinner from Tylan, but instead of accepting, he locks and barricades himself into his room.
Let's see how this works.
What a silly boy.
The following day, Matt sneaks out of his rooms and pays the serving maid to move over to Matt's sulking room as a foil to Tylan's advances.
I've got a plan.
Elaine and Nynaeve chide Matt for missing Tylan's dinner the night before, requesting he return to spying on the House of the Kin. Apparently, the two are trying to identify a visitor of Karadin's, whose house they will be watching again that day. Vannon has been guarding Elaine and has observed two women and a spry old man watching Karadin's house as well. So
that guy could really get away.
I'm guessing that's Falion, Ispan, and Old Cully.
Definitely Old Cully.
Yeah, right. I mean, one of the women could be the Lady Skane, but who would the other woman be that she would be working with? It makes more sense that, I mean, the two women that we've seen together have been Ispan and Falion, and we know that Old Cully was watching them. The woman that tried to
we know an old man
Matt.
was watching
and,
them. Someone who's losing his memory.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yes.
So we don't know if that's Cully or not. We don't know who that is. It wouldn't make a lot of sense for Cully to be losing his memory, and he's leading a group of people.
That's true. That's true. So we've got two old men wandering are dark friends wandering around Ibudar.
We got one.
No,
we
one
don't know
man,
what
two,
wandering
two
around
and some
Ibudar,
ladies.
staring at the house.
No,
Remember,
David's right. There's Old Cully, but Old Cully is the head of.
Sorry.
Is the head of the a circle.
Of friends.
So there's no way that he's.
Yeah, there was that other old guy that went into the place first. That wasn't Old Cully.
Yeah,
that's him.
I'm
just talking about the guy staring at Old Cully's house or Karadin's house across the way that we don't know much about.
That Matt ran into.
Right, he seems to be losing his memory, or something's going on with his head or something.
Yep.
So that's some entity we don't know who.
Yeah. After Elaine and Nynaeve return, Matt sends Tom and Julin after Karadin and his watchers. Matt sits at the Rose of the Elder for 2 more days with no results except striking up a solid friendship with Birgitta.
And Stinky Fish.
Tom reports to Matt that Karadin has brought a copy of the plans for Tylan's Tarazin Palace. Why would he have done this?
Matt wanting plans?
No. Karadin, Jacob Karadin has ordered a copy of the plans of the Tarazin Palace. So he must be planning on storming the castle.
Yeah.
That's either that or he is trying to sneak in and get something like Matt.
Get the queen.
Well,
kill the Aes Sedai. Who knows what he could be trying to do?
He's trying to recreate the Tarazin Palace in miniature.
Right.
Yeah, he's
like a palace in a bottle.
He has his own castle.
And he plays with dolls.
It seems nefarious.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Well, it's definitely he's a dark friend, so it's certainly going to be that. But like, what is the end? The end's got to be to getting to somebody inside there, and I guess it could be Tylan. It could be any of our protagonists at this point. Upon returning to his rooms, Matt heads down to the kitchens to steal some food, but all of the kitchen maids seem to be aware of his situation and will not allow him any food at all.
It's going from bad to worse.
Grunts.
Matt goes 3 nights without dinner, but on the 3rd, he brings home some food for himself. The following day is the Festival of Birds, and the dice begin rolling again in Matt's head.
What did he bring home for himself? Well, some bread and cheese. Gross.
He did not bring home the stinky fish, which led to chlamydia.
You're right. He brought home some bread and cheese.
Ugh.
Which takes us to chapter 29, the Festival of Birds, with the Aes Sedai symbol. Matt wakes on the morning of the Festival of Birds, and while preparing for the day with Olver, Tylan walks in through the locked door. She sends Olver off with her servant Rizal and then takes Matt to bed at knife point. When she departs, she gifts Matt a mask, feather coat, and gives him some money so that he gives him some money to have his ear pierced.
She was just paying for his services.
She gave him a password.
Matt's now a prostitute.
Fidelio. Yes.
Yes, but what is the password to the house?
He meets Nalessian. Right, exactly. He meets Nalessian and Brigitte in the courtyard. Fidelio
P.
Fidelio. He meets Nalessian and Brigitte in the courtyard, and then they are joined by Beslin and his bodyguards. The group then heads out to the festival. A short while later, they're attacked by a group of beggars who are not in the guild. During the fight, one of Matt's combatants says, "Old Cully will not like this spar." The Fellowship of Alms,
with the waving finger,
the Beggars Guild, then appears and defends their careers, and our group departs for the Rose of the Elder. While sitting together, Beslin tells Matt he's glad his mother has chosen Matt for her pretty. And Matt is so flustered, he heads out trying to figure out the society he's found himself in.
This is just absolutely
wonderful. Those crazy royals.
Wonderful. Oh, Matt, you're not from these parts.
That's right. You don't get our little infidelities. Matt's so off balance, he wanders out blindly following some woman.
Matt's random
And
luck.
then we cut to Rihanna, who's watching Matt follow Selene from the upper windows of the Kin's home. Apparently, she's given some command earlier than normal and can't retract it now. The only thing I can guess is that was for Rianne to go out and do whatever it is she's doing, which we learn later is to go and guard the cash.
Give me the cash.
Right. The chapter concludes with her suspicion that something is wrong and her orders to move all the kin except those who wear the red belt to the farm. So she is moving everybody except the Ibu Dar's healing women off to the farm. Which takes us to our final chapter, chapter 30, the first cup with the Forsaken glyph. Once again, we start the story after a major plot point has occurred already. Elaine is in the midst of some kind of informal trial with Marililla, Valdine, Adelius, there's your Fidelio, Adelius, Karena, Franzi, and Saratha, after she's revealed to them that Matt has found the Bowl of Winds, or at least the cache that contains them.
But
I'm just putting pops.
That hasn't happened, right? She's making that up, correct?
No.
Really?
This is another one of Jordan's narrative sleight of hands.
This is just his trick play. I thought at first that was what was taking place, and then she just backpedaled a little bit. So you think that he actually found it?
Oh yeah, I'm certain.
Oh yeah,
he's found it. That's why he wandered off following Selene.
What you're saying? Oh,
he wandered off following Selene. Marililla proposes that Elaine's sentence be passed, and then Pole enters with a letter from Morgase to Elaine, but signed by Jacob Carradine.
Jeez.
The letter reads, "My lady Elaine, I greet the daughter heir of Andor with joyous news. I have just learned that your mother, Queen Morgase, lives and is at present the guest of Pedron Niall in Amador.
The funny thing is he's telling
and
her
wishes
the truth.
above all to be reunited with you so that you may return to Andor together in triumph.
That accent has
I
changed.
offer
Now he's
escort
speaking.
through the bandits now infesting Altara so that you may reach your mother's side in safety and at all speed. Forgive these few poor words scribbled in haste, but I know you would wish to learn the wondrous news as soon as possible.
Sounds like a Wonka
Until I can
announcement.
leave you at your mother's side. Yours truly, and with many kisses, Jacob Carradine.
With many kisses.
That was the Kevin Costner Robin Hood accent.
Yeah, well, no, Eric, can you give me a little Camelot? That's what I was getting from that.
Camelot?
I like to ride the Spamalot.
Not spam.
Ramalot. The Tramalot.
I wanted some good old Dave. Can you give me some Burton Camelot?
Oh goodness. Camelot.
So my question is are we assuming that he's actually telling the truth here and that Pedron Niall is not dead yet?
I think he wrote that initially. I mean,
But
obviously,
remember, he's there in town.
he got the message saying, "Hey, we got Morgase. Pack her up and send her back." I mean, obviously, they do not mean her well.
I guess, yeah, you're right. There's probably not enough time for him to have learned that his other two brothers in arms have cooed.
And, well, not only that, I don't think those other two like him.
No, I don't think they do either.
Well, also, like, what can you trust inside that letter when he says, I figured, oh, by the way, I figured you should know this as soon as possible. Okay.
Right.
As soon as possible.
She just gets bent at this message as opposed to, like, believing that it might actually be true.
Which stinks that she has some information there that would be very good for her.
Very important for her to know.
Yeah.
But it leads to something more
from
fun.
This guy. Camelot. He's so drunk in that movie. He's so visibly drunk.
I'm a Robert Goulet.
Furious at Carradine's provocation, Elaine burns the letter and takes charge of the trial. She reverses the situation and makes the Aes Sedai present aware of their circumvention of Elaine's authority, or Egwene's authority.
She switched it up. She was interviewing them.
Elaine then gets a little history of the kin, and we cut to Moghedien, who's also an Ibu Dar. She spews a woman she spies a woman she has a vendetta with and diverts from the path that Moradin has her on. So she climbs to the rooftop of a nearby inn and destroys a boat with a red cabin floating down the river. But before she can shoot the balefire at it, a flock of pigeons,
seagulls,
right, yeah, fly up in the air around her, and the balefire goes askew and cuts the boat in half instead of cutting through the cabin where the person is that she's trying to kill.
These pigeons.
They're everywhere, man, and they are a nuisance.
And by the way, it's probably not a flock of pigeons. I don't know what a group of pigeons is called.
An annoyance.
That would be good to know. I'll look it up.
Realizing how this maneuver has blown her cover, she rushes out to her sedan and goes careening from the scene toward the direction of Moradin's commands. And that is our reading for the week.
Yay!
She was pretty happy about it, though. She did her duty. She was all about herself. Sorry. Go ahead.
So, Dave, what shook your willow?
My willow was shooketh by young Matt being all of a sudden so prudish. Like he's a carousing young lad. He's been out and about doing a little cuddling, a little tease here and there, a little shake of the leg, a little, I could keep going with this, but I'm not. And then all of a sudden, like when he's pursued, he's like, he just can't handle it. He's all flustered. He starts speaking in a high-pitched voice. They think it's a woman.
It's something
Matt.
totally outside his paradigm. He doesn't know how to handle the situation
at all.
not whatsoever.
He's not eating his suppers.
It feels like this is deliberately here to kind of turn the, flip the coin over and for Matt to see what it's like to be on the other side of things. And it's definitely amusing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
She's like one of those fish in the market with all the legs, like a squid.
Right. Yeah. What shook my Willow was in chapter 27, the departure of Perrin and Loyal. Just was such a heartbreaking scene for me as Perrin really believes he's never going to see Loyal again.
Yeah.
So this is a truly sad departure here. Now, I don't think as readers we believe for an instant that these two are never going to see each other again, but
I don't know.
We're never gonna dance again.
Who knows what he's going to be? Loyal might be just going off all on a cruise with Aerith at some point or whatever her name is.
Right. Yeah, precisely. So that was mine. Adam, what was yours?
Oh, mine is along Matt as well. And the fact that Matt was assaulted in this book.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I don't really think that that's what's going on there.
Really,
it's very
everything
borderline.
you've described is that he's been being broken down as a man. He's 100% getting put down on like this different side of it, and he's understanding what it is to kind of a little bit be a victim of it.
Not only that, she's doing it at knife point.
And she like took his pants off. She was taking his pants off when other people were in the room. And then
he was like, no.
Yes. Nobody else is in the room. Not that.
No,
yes,
the pants are off before that.
He tried to stand up, and his pants were undone.
That's after.
Right, they came in. The pants were already undone.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No. His pants are already undone, and then people come into the room.
Yes.
Sure, but he was not aware that actually happened to him.
No. It was those squid hands.
Yeah. It was those hungry hands.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how you don't see it other than assault. She 100% assaulted him and broke him down. And
I do.
I don't think he's broken down. That's why. I don't think
he wasn't eating for 3 days in a row. He wasn't sleeping. He locked his room. He had this weird encounter with her child to begin with.
Beslin.
Yeah. Yep. There is a whole lot going down that is breaking him down, and the whole two keys things.
I understand what you're saying, Adam, but I think that were things reversed, Matt would be very attracted to this woman and be pursuing her. I think it is purely for comedy.
I think unfortunately, within that comedy, there's an element of creepy.
Sure. Yeah. I could see that if you choose to step outside the comedy of it and you want to treat it as a real world situation. Yes. You have an argument for sure.
At
you
first,
seem
it's
confused, Adam.
At first, it is comical, but it goes past the point of being comical after the time. And I think he clearly is getting at that, but whatever.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Morgase in the hole.
Morgase.
So,
how many ways?
Oh my gosh, this romance between Morgase and Talonvor keeps going on.
You mean the lack of romance?
I hate every single one of these romances in this book.
It's not even a romance.
No,
it's a almost mance.
It's an eye goggling.
It's an ogling.
It's an ogling. Yeah.
Well, you got one.
The ogling.
One who likes her so much that he's disgusted by her, and the other one who just won't admit that she likes him because he's too young.
Right, but she's just like
that's the whole relationship.
She's
summed up in a nutshell.
Yes,
yeah.
There are all these relationships are really oversimplified. They're stereotypical, and that's why I hate them. Is they don't feel
stereotypes
real.
Are based on
they
reality.
feel idealized.
Oh, sure, I understand that, Dave. But it's just how much he talks, how much he keeps talking about it.
Well,
it's because I think we've all seen people like this in real life.
Sure,
You're just like, come on, would you get on with it already?
well, right,
Yes,
but there are
absolutely.
It's never quite this simple. There are always other factors involved. It's always a little bit more complicated than just this. This is the common denominator amongst all of them. But that the thing is, like in the way that he handles these in the narrative, it's just so simple.
I think
What
it's
is
not
the
as
age
simple as you're
difference
making
here?
it out to be. I think it actually is complex, but when she renounces herself as queen, now it becomes simple.
That's true.
Because as a
Dave.
queen, she couldn't be involved with Talonvor.
That's not what. Yes,
you
you're
think that's
correct. That's
why
not what
she
I meant by
renounced?
simple and complex.
What's Adam?
Do you think that's why she renounced being queen?
No, she renounced being queen in case she got held, in case she was used as a weapon by the Shanchan.
I think she just found it as a convenient point to be like, oh wait, now I can do
No.
this.
This is incredibly significant, and we had an entire segment discussion about this before, where was Elaine queen or not, because Morgase was believed dead, and I think what this proves is that as long as she's alive, even if people don't know it, she's still the queen.
She's still the queen. And what would happen was if someone else declared themselves queen and she came back, that person would be a traitor and would be executed.
So
I'm still the queen.
But and it's interesting, Dave, that you asked, was anybody else there to hear it? Even though no one's there to hear it, we get the sense
like
that
tree
this has
falling in
the
the
full
forest.
faith and, that this has the full backing of the law.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that
I was just curious if anyone else did
because
hear
it's
it.
the
Just-
queen doing it, who, in many cases is the law.
Yeah.
Oh, and the Shanchan are back.
Oh, that's not good. Not only are they back, they're in country a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done some.
I mean,
things.
we're still coastal. We're
near
still
the
in
shore,
we're
but-
in the coastal nations, but they are moving further inland.
Well, they can
Yeah.
flip flap around.
They can.
Well, they can fly, but they can't move their entire army
I'm
via
just very
flight.
concerned about them getting a hold of someone who knows how to travel.
Do they have armies?
Well,
of
that's
those
the
things that
concern
she
of
has a head
any
of?
bad guy at this point, for sure.
Well, most of the bad guys already know how to travel.
No,
They don't.
Well, I mean, you have Massima's people. If those people got
but
a hold of somebody if Massima got a hold of somebody who could travel,
Yeah, but
Oh, boy.
I'm talking about
They're
they already
probably
have
taking
their own
away gates.
channelers who could learn how to make
Oh,
gates.
you mean
and
learn how to
Yes.
channel,
Yes.
learn how to travel.
So getting a
Yeah,
hold of
that's
it, yeah,
different.
and then learning, yeah,
Okay. Yep.
that would not be good.
I have a question. So they're going to want to meet with Rand, correct? That hasn't happened quite yet, right?
The Shanchan?
Other than when he
Maybe I would
other
guess.
than when
but
he
I mean,
chopped off one of their. great
I'm not so
swordsmen's
sure
heads.
they're going to want to meet with Rand.
Really.
I think
They
they're going to
probably
want
wanna-
to fight Rand.
yeah, or subdue him,
Yeah. I don't think
make him bow to
they're
the
not
daughter
here
of the
to
Nine
join
Moons.
forces with somebody to rule the continent. They're here to rule the continent.
Yeah,
Like this whole
Pendragon.
this whole
forever.
Armageddon story is not theirs at all. They don't have any clue that they're in the end times. All they know is that they're in the times where they get to return to this continent that they've been away for
Helene.
centuries.
Yeah.
So Rand being the savior that's not part of their history at all, or their present.
Yeah, that's true.
which is interesting because you would think the prophecies of the dragon predate Arthur Hawkwing, so
Yeah, that's what
Right.
I am confused about.
So
a
they would
little
have
bit.
to
I
know
thought
about
they would
that.
go.
No,
hand
they
in hand.
wouldn't. I mean, they would have had to have known about it
Right.
at some point in history, but for all you know, and it's Hawkwing's children who leave. For all you know, when they leave and create their new societies, they totally write that story right out of their histories.
right. Well, so someone knew, and then they're like,
Right.
you know,
You're right that
That's true.
some of them would have had to have known, but if it's just the original founders, they could have easily just have obliterated that.
yeah.
Or just not included it in their histories, and then these people aren't going to know about it. And
You
what that
people.
does is that allows them to simply focus on this day rather than worrying about some other thing to prepare for.
This
Your
day,
whole society,
this time.
is just focused on
that.
This
makes sense. I was just wondering why I was wondering if they wanted to meet up with him because of especially what Dave was talking about and the fact that their histories kind of have to do a little bit with each other. But you're right; they could just write that off.
They can,
yeah.
That's convenient,
right?
It is for people who aren't around any longer.
Yep.
They were really interested in getting their comeuppance even after they'd passed on.
Yeah.
This whole society is going to be my revenge.
Very weird.
Yeah, that's very odd determination.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Having talked through Morgase, let's talk through what we learn about the kin and the Aes Sedai in hiding in plain sight.
Love it.
Marililla reveals that the secret of the kin has been kept for almost 2,000 years.
Good for them. That's better
a lot
than
of
the
runaways.
third moon landing.
2/3 of the time since the Age of Legends, this has been going on and kept secret by the tower.
Keep it hidden.
We actually also learn here, by the way, that Elaine is 18 years old. So we get an age of one of these characters, and it's so stood out because that never happens.
Anytime I hear an age, that's nuts. 18. This has been 2 years.
So, well, 2.5. I think we're approaching 3 now. But either way, she was either 16 or 15 when this story started.
Yeah, nuts. Back in that little garden.
I've got a secret.
Finally, we get the turning of the tide when it comes to the Power Girls, right? So finally, 2 of them, really one of them, stands up and says, enough. This is enough. You've treated us and we've allowed you to treat us like second-class citizens in this society. And you elected this woman as your superior, not us. She nominated us as Aes Sedai. So if you don't respect us, it's disrespect to your Amyrlin.
Good times.
Thank heavens. I was getting sick of this. I was getting tired of this treatment.
Yeah,
it was
great.
Wonderful.
I loved it. I loved every moment. They stood at the same time, and she was like, they stood when I stood.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, it was fabulous.
She put them in their place.
Was the comeuppance had long been coming.
Yeah, she also put her education to good purpose right here. That's her entire upbringing and what she learned from her mom.
Yeah,
which her mom was trying to do.
Well thought out. They could not argue any of it.
Ago,
I mean, it was.
But then got distracted by some dude in the room.
So here's what we learn about the kin. They originally gathered in the city of Barashta during the Trolloc Wars.
Where is that? I should have.
Where's Barashta?
Yeah.
Barashta is where Ibu Dar is, where the Rahad specifically is today.
Oh, okay. Sounds
the
like
main part
nice
of the city
cabbage dish.
Yeah. Women don't remain longer than 10 years before leaving to become wisdoms or healers. Now we know that wisdoms and healers are part of the kin, so I'm not quite sure
and when they
how
say
that works.
They leave the farm and then they go into Abu Dar, or they go into other towns.
I think they leave the farm. Some of them can go to Ibu Dar, but some of them can end up other places also. So that's what it's referring to, is the time that they spend at the farm. Other gatherings of the sort have been broken up in the past. The most recent, the Daughters of Silence, was broken up 200 years ago. And the Aes Sedai allow the kin to persist because of their assistance with recovering runaways. The hegemony is the Aes Sedai. These women were runaways or kicked out. Some of them are runaways, though.
Yeah.
And now they're finding other runaways and sending them back to the tower.
I don't know that they all were necessary. I think the majority of them weren't strong enough to be in the tower.
So, yeah, I mean they've left the tower for various reasons, but some of them are runaways.
Some of them are runaways, yeah.
Sure. Are any of them just random wisdoms that just showed up? No, they wouldn't.
Not that we've been introduced
to.
They
wouldn't, because they're the Daughters of Silence.
No. The Daughters of Silence got disbanded.
Sure. But I mean, the same thing. It's the same idea. They've been
AKA
silent for 2,000 years. It's pretty good.
They've been kept secret for 2,000 years.
Well, they've also not spread word about it. Or maybe those who have
kept themselves secret.
Or maybe those who have been silenced in different ways.
Right. We don't know how. Well, we don't know how they keep their secret. We just know that it's been kept. Yeah. I mean,
I know a good way to keep a secret is by not saying it. So I'm just assuming a lot of them.
That is a good way.
Another good way never knowing the secret
is to silence people who might say it.
Right. They just have no tongues except for those who we've met.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. I have no doubt that people who had loose lips have found themselves sent away,
not given the chance to sink the ship.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
At some points in the past. So yeah, it's an ancient society that the Aes Sedai were aware of. I can only think then that Marililla, what did she do? She came out here to keep tabs on them, to just check in with them. Because remember, a couple of them came out here to find runaways.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just doing it because they know the kin have some runaways for them, or they're going to see if they have some that they can steal away from the tower.
But
maybe this was
like
a preemptive strike. Marililla?
Yeah, I mean that's the reason that she would come back and do.
Well, that's what they told. That's what they told Nynaeve and Elaine they were coming here to do.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting that they know about them, but the kin have no idea that they know.
But wasn't that
that's
excuse,
the other interesting thing,
right? But wasn't the other excuse also to go do that with other folk, like find other? Yeah, no, that wasn't them doing that. Never mind.
No.
That was the Seanchan.
Mm-hmm.
So those are
them.
Those people.
That's our circle of. That's our group of healers. Somebody else who might need a little bit of healing at this point is Matt. So let's do a little take into the Matt here.
Yeah.
And most of what Matt, it's interesting. I think Matt is finally doing a pretty good job of like making suggestions to Egwene and Nynaeve and also following orders and not being argumentative. I mean, he's not thrilled that he's sitting there, staring at the kin's front door for days on end without anything happening. But he tries to put himself in a place where he can help them by using the luck of Ta'Veren. And what do you know? Eventually he does.
Well,
But this seems to be a fairly uncontentious period of this relationship between himself and these two women.
Yeah. A little bit. I think it's interesting the way that it's put. He is a little annoyed at the fact that he can't figure out what's going on. I think he's like, what's going on? Why are they apologizing to me but looking straight at Avienda? This isn't making any
particularly with Elaine. Yeah,
I know
that's
why.
Elaine's.
I know why.
Yeah, that's Elaine's thing.
Right.
He's also confused by the fact that when he tells these two that they need to be under guard, that they agree right away. But that has more to do with what's happened that morning. Right.
Yeah.
Not only that morning, even just getting taken away by the kin, like that.
That is what happened that morning.
Well, they got attacked. Sure. Yes. I thought you were talking about them getting attacked.
It's both. It's the entire conglomerate of what happened that morning.
Yeah.
It was not a good morning for them. They did not have a good time.
No. They got bullied by the innkeeper.
Yeah.
Could have been much
bullied
worse.
by the kin.
It could have been worse. She could have used fork root on them.
Right.
Yeah.
They
could have gotten bundled up and sent to the farm.
No, not this again.
No, not again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Adam, I
just would like to celebrate a little moment here of Matt and Brigitte.
The bond of friendship.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great.
I love the fact that he's like, I have not been attracted to this woman once.
Sorry, Dave. What did you say?
That's the fact that he was like, I have not been attracted to this woman once.
What's wrong with
I've
this
been
relationship?
sitting here and her hip has been touching my thigh for
Right,
hours.
exactly.
I haven't even
Sounds like
noticed.
a junior high boy.
He sounds like that every time he talks about anybody.
I love the fact whenever he talks about her and she's recommending women to him, she's like, she likes the most dog-faced men I've ever seen.
Yeah, she does.
He thought
She
it's
has a
good that she's
penchant
not.
for-
It's good that she's not attracted to me because the people that
Right.
she's attracted to.
Yeah,
Oh man.
Yowza.
it almost
I love
feels
it.
like
And
a
so,
scene
I
from
do
Mean
have a
Girls
question. I do have a question.
or an
I-
'80s teen romance comedy. Go
Well,
ahead,
it does
Adam.
seem a little bit like she's all that, and like he's gonna be like, oh, this is my buddy here at
Sure.
first, and then maybe it's gonna lead into something else, which is my question.
I doubt it.
I don't get that feeling. Matt's too pretty for her.
Yeah, but that's
not
the whole point.
not only that's right. Yeah,
Duckling?
Adam is saying
I'm a
unrequited, but I get the sense that Matt really is just friends
Yeah,
with
I think
her.
she's one of the guys now.
But you're right. I mean, something could happen that he's not prepared for.
I love the fact that she's pulling knives out of her costume where there shouldn't be space for a knife to be hidden.
Yeah,
It's so good.
her
And
gauzy.
he's like, why are you wearing that?
Right. I like men to look at me every now and then.
Yeah,
Right.
I like the ugliest, trolliest looking man to look at me every once in a while.
No,
She likes everyone
she was-
to look at her.
Yeah, she was
that's
happy
true. She
that
likes everyone
Beslin
to
was checking her out.
As
I
she
love
was
this
preening
friendship
about
that's
with her
taking place.
feathers.
Right.
I hope that we have more of it because everything else that when there are men and women together is just called.
You're right. This is the male female. Well, it's not a romance. That's why it's enjoyable to me.
Yeah.
The only other one I can think of would be Rand and Egwene, and that's not going in a good direction.
No.
Yeah, no, that's been done. That had a knife put it back in it. I think
Can
in
you
book
imagine?
three.
No, I just
Can
mean
you
like
imagine what a Robert
them being
Jordan
friends.
romance novel would be like?
Yeah.
we're reading them.
It would be just a romance novel. You're right. We are reading a story that has some romances in it. I can't imagine a romance story written by him. It would be so unpalatable.
I hope
Well,
he's got some
I would
good,
have a
yeah,
feeling
no,
he's
the actual
doing this
conversations-
intentionally.
The actual conversations might be bad, but maybe he just like has this other side to him that's just really good description that we don't know about.
Well, I would say then that lack of evidence is no evidence at all.
I think it's all intentional,
Yeah,
but
it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I think it's intentional because it's consistent. It doesn't really ever vary
Yeah,
in
definitely.
the relationships.
No, well,
But let's celebrate this one and let's
the
hope
things
here-
that are in the way of the relationships vary. The challenges to the relationships vary.
I just mean the dynamics.
There are always
but,
challenges.
But yes, no, this is
Moving to
fantastic. I have a feeling it's going good places, and I hope these two are around each other for a considerable amount more of time.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Because it kind of reminds me of honestly when Matt was going around with Tom or Tom was going around with Rand. Like it's
Right. I mean,
And
the
there's
only
buddy
person that we've
time.
gotten to see Matt have fun around for a very long time has been no, I almost said Beslin, not Beslin. Nalessian. Which takes us to Fear of the Dark.
Fear of the dark.
Oh, that's right. You can't do it.
I did it, just lower.
Okay. Who the heck is Moradin?
oh gosh, the one looking through the veil. I would imagine
Is
at that
it-
one point.
Is it the Forsaken we've been trying to figure out who we barely ever see? I mean, we get that he wears white sleeves and has piercing blue eyes.
No, I don't think it
Talmanis.
would be the Forsaken because he's got that.
Talmanis.
Do all the Forsaken have that stuff going through their eyes?
No, this
No.
is something different.
Yeah, this reminds me of an X-Files episode.
So is it the Watcher? Could the Watcher have been
that's
Moradin?
what I was saying. The guy.
Oh
looking
yeah,
through the veil.
I thought we were convinced that is.
Yeah.
Now we've just learned that's who that person was. Like
And
I
we
didn't
all
even
know it's
question that.
Rand's
Man,
brother.
that guy, the narrative made him feel like he was somebody's servant, not
Well, they're all somebody's
Make
servant.
well, right, but
me
no.
a
There seemed to be the feeling that I got in reading the character was that he was
I got the feeling he was the guy pulling the strings.
Yeah, me too.
I could see how you I get that. It just didn't feel like this because obviously Moradin is somebody who's very important.
Death.
And then if he's the Watcher, then is that a Forsaken? Because that didn't feel like a Forsaken. That felt like
we didn't know. I don't know if this
that felt
guy's
like
a Forsaken.
some other creature.
I thought it was a Forsaken.
Okay,
but
so
I
this
thought
is
it was
a
like,
new Forsaken we're learning about.
I thought it was like Demon Dread or somebody, but now I don't. Now I think it's
well. Why couldn't it be Demandred?
Well, we've got references of Demon Dread before, and no one else has talked about the stuff in his eyes, which I think kind of would have come up. But I
remember,
could be wrong.
no, it definitely hasn't come up. But the Saw has not come up at all until this book.
So the question is this? Well, we keep getting rebirths, so
but only I mean, quite a few. 4 of them have died. I mean, 5 with Lanfear.
Lanfear's not dead. Don't tell me that. I don't believe.
Well, we think she's dead as far as we know.
She went through the. But
if she's dead, that means someone else is dead, and I don't want
That's
that.
true. Adam
is still clinging on a hope that
hope can be found.
I also miss Lanfear, so I'll throw that out there too.
She's sexy.
It's. We learn we
know there's a fixed amount of Forsaken as far as we know to
that
our
can
knowledge.
That can use it. No. This is what's in the narrative.
Well, they're saying new Dreadlords will be created. So new Forsaken, a Dreadlord is like the new version of the Forsaken.
No.
So,
I was saying we know that only a certain number of Forsaken can use the true power.
Okay.
And therefore have the Saw in their eyes.
And apparently has used it for a little bit of time.
So that's the other thing is we learn maybe the reason that we haven't seen the true power being used by any of the Forsaken yet is they avoid using it because it's so
it's kind of like they avoid using
balefire
too for certain reasons. They avoid use for different reasons. But
right. That's ethical. This is comfort. It is not comfortable to use the true power.
Did this setting not seem familiar to you? Didn't it feel like we were back in book 1 or book 2? There's like the fireplace in the room, and this is why.
You think the dream room? Well, that thought did occur to me.
Which is why I'm like, okay, do we have this guy all over again in another new body? Come on.
Well, but that's Samael, right?
Ishamael.
Or Ishamael.
Oh, the dream room.
I always confuse. Yeah, with the fireplace.
We once again got another fireplace.
But this
it's
was
different, but it just felt the same.
It did. But then there was the setting was just slightly different because
it was. But we had Ishamael with his laughing eyes, and now we got this guy who's laughing and smirking and kind of like with stuff in his eyes, and I'm like, is this something else we don't know?
So if this guy was watching not Demandred, Samael and Grendel,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then he's aware of their plans. Who else's plans might he be aware of?
I wouldn't put him beyond him to know lots of different people's plans. As far as the Forsaken are concerned, he almost seems like Nablus.
Yeah. Yes, he does. Which would be bad news for Samael.
Right. Be bad news for all of them.
But there's bad news for Samael. It's coming very soon, I feel like. So
right.
I would really
and the
hope
bees.
So.
Don't forget the bees.
The golden bees. Who is this woman that Mogedion is chasing whose boat she saws in half?
Well, I thought that was obvious. That's got to be Nynaeve.
Yeah, but we don't have any instance
determined walk. I mean, Mogedion's going to think of one person with a determined stride that she's going to go out of her way.
Right.
to obliterate.
I agree with all that, but we have not had any instance of these two going out on a boat.
No, I don't think that's relevant. I think that's just coincidental. I think we're just supposed to guess potentially that's who it is because that's the one person she hates so much. Other than maybe it's Brigitte. It would be one of 3 people.
But we don't have any. They're not on a boat. They don't go on a boat.
We have no idea in reference of what this time is. Remember, he keeps shifting things with times and focuses. So it could be we read this and the next chapter we're back in time.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that's totally possible.
I'm just saying.
And
I think it's her because
I guess that's probable because this would be a weird way to introduce another character,
right? And there's 3 people she hates, and we've got 3 of them here.
Well, who's
she
the
wouldn't
third?
be following a Sean
Egwene,
though?
Nynaeve.
Oh no, they're not there. Sorry,
It's Nynaeve,
Oh, I wouldn't.
Egwene,
Yeah, I wouldn't
and
include
Elaine,
Egwene in there.
and Brigitte maybe. So,
well, it's definitely Brigitte. She shot her.
well, Egwene also because Egwene made
was
her be a
just there.
servant
Oh, right.
with the
Sure.
bracelet, and she knew. And
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
But
she
we
was
know
one
it's
of
not
her
Egwene.
captors.
So
Why?
it's one of those
Well,
because
right,
Egwene's back
Egwene's
in,
not there.
Yeah.
Egwene's not an Ibu Dar. Okay. I mean, my first thought was, of course, it was Nynaeve, but there's this has to be then a day later or some day
yes.
outside of the,
Well, we don't know where
that we've
Nynaeve
covered.
is going on at this time. We know where Brigitte is.
Well, that's true. We don't know
where.
Well, they go off to spy on Carradine.
Right.
That's who they're watching during the time that Matt is watching the Kin's door. So
I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. But that's just with the words "the determined stride" instantly brought Nynaeve to mind.
Sure. Well, I mean,
I can
who
think of
else
a lot
do-
of people that walk.
Who else would stop her from Moradin's commands other than those 3 women or 4 women? So,
Yeah.
all right, Dave, who was your Coplin of the week?
My Coplin of the week.
Coplin.
The Coplin of the week. In the brief moment that she was there, it was Fail. Yeah, I mean, just
you pulled this one out.
Wow, I love this.
I first of all, I was super happy when we first started reading that chapter, and Perrin's like has the massive argument with Rand and gets the crap kicked out of him, thrown against a wall, nearly breaks his ribs.
You were super happy about that?
No, I was thrown off. I was so concerned. I'm like, what happened? First, I was mad at Perrin. I'm like, oh, here goes Perrin again.
You were mad at Perrin?
Yes. I was like, Perrin's defending this stupid Aes
So you
Sedai again.
assumed, oh, okay.
And Rand's
yeah.
got the right of way with these Aes Sedai. They betrayed him. They keep screwing him over, and Perrin's defending him. And this is an odd thing I'm thinking to myself, because here, for finally once, Rand's not killing the women, but he's like taking a hardline stance, and it's Perrin who's like, no, the women. Defend the women.
It's not the women, it's the Aes Sedai.
Who
it
are
just
women.
goes back to, well, right, but I think this is tied more into the history of the 2 rivers and the Aes Sedai and their reverence for the Aes Sedai, while at the same time finding them very suspect.
Right. But then I was quite pleased to find out that it was all a big ruse. And then I was like, man, Perrin
Wait, when
took
did we
that-
find out it was a ruse?
He says to his people, as far as everybody knows, we're going to blah, 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 blah. He says that in the chapter to his troops.
Well,
When he's
why does
talking
that
to the
mean
men.
it's a ruse?
Because he's got the women there with him, and everyone knows what's going on. It was all a deliberate act to throw people off in Carian so they didn't know where they were going. And he says Rand is sending them somewhere.
Right, Rand is sending them somewhere. Rand has wanted Matt to go to Gildan for days now.
Right. There's a difference between you saying, I'm done with you and taking off, as opposed to Rand sending you somewhere. You're doing Rand's bidding. Remember, the argument was about them splitting ways.
Yep.
And everyone thinking they had nothing to do with each other. And then Rand is sending them somewhere.
Okay,
So it was a staged act, and I was super pleased to learn that, because I was like,
Yeah.
what the heck? These 2 are at it now? That's the last thing we need. Though I am concerned also because Perrin is supposed to be around Rand. Like, that's another thing we keep hearing in these books. If he's not around Rand,
but Rand is aware of that also, and
well,
I think
Rand's aware of a lot of things that he ignores.
I think Rand is also relying on the Ta'veren Pole to bring Perrin back
When
once
needed.
this is over.
I know. I think that's a bit
Yeah,
cavalier.
It's
but
presumptuous for sure.
well, anyhow, so then they leave, and then frickin' Fail brings along this cadre of ne'er-do-well people, the stupid new society of swords people that Perrin knows nothing about. She's still giving Perrin the cold shoulder now for some reason that he doesn't have any idea about, even though they're just having just a grand and jolly
that's
time.
just that marriage.
That's been happening.
Perrin is always
That's
getting
been
the cold
happening.
shoulder that
That has not
So-
been that has not been resolved. That's
Well,
been
I thought it
happening
was.
this-
Perrin said it. When he was leaving, he was going to
Yes,
regret leaving
right.
because it was one of the best times he had there in recent memory.
Yeah.
And then she starts in again.
Yep.
It's just like, come on, would you give it a rest? I thought we had a break from this again, but no.
That's
No,
that's,
he's-
that's castle life, Dave. That's castle life.
the intrigue. So that was my Coplin.
I love it. Soft clap for you for bringing her into this. She is my Coplin of this entire series.
My Coplin was Morgase.
Interesting.
I just cannot stand the way that she operates.
The
Just
spider
hiding, and only coming out when she absolutely can win.
Well, in this case, she didn't. She just.
Well, finally,
Yep.
she's gotten.
Yeah.
She's finally run into
She
something.
grew a pair.
Well, we'll see.
Right.
We'll see how long this lasts. Now,
I don't think it's going to.
She's got this. She's got this mind trap controlling her, so she can't mess
A
around too
vacuole,
much.
you say?
Well, she
The
was in the
Corsouvre?
vacuole.
A Corsouvre? What is it called?
Yeah, the Corsouvre.
Corsouvre. Yeah.
Anytime she's in the narrative, I just don't like her. I don't like her personality.
Yeah.
I don't like the way she operates. I find her cowardly. So
She is.
she's my Coplin of the week.
All right.
Who you got, Adam?
Mine is this Moradin fella because that's how you
Moradin?
because
Moradin.
Yeah, Moradin. I don't know who you are. I don't like it. And I want more information. And you're doing a lot of stuff and you're controlling a lot of moves, and it doesn't make me feel right.
I also found it interesting that Shidar Haran gave the Corsouvre to him.
Yeah.
He has a lot of power.
So,
Well,
and we still don't know who
it's
the heck
not-
Shidar Haran is to begin with.
He has
I mean-
a lot of he has a lot of responsibility given to him.
Yes.
Rather.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Shaitan, I guarantee you, told Shidar Haran to give the Corsouvre to Moradin.
To Moradin.
So
Instead
this
of-
wasn't like one man demanding it of the other.
No, it's just interesting though. It's kind of like, why not just have Shidar Haran keep it? What? There's a purpose.
I don't
behind
know.
this, and I don't know what
Shadowrun
it is.
seems like a wild card.
I don't know. He seems pretty obedient
No,
so
he's very-
far
no. He's
To
very-
who?
Yeah, he's not a wild card. He's very
to
obedient.
Shaitan.
Well, right,
He
and
creeped
to
me
no
out.
one
That
else.
whole- his
Right,
whole
yeah.
thing-
Not
his
even
whole
the
thing.
Forsaken.
Well, no, because the Forsaken are not obedient to anybody but themselves.
Well, they're obedient to
Shidar,
Shaitan, to an extent.
Shidar is
Not
sure
consistently.
obeying his master in terms of this Forsaken. Ugh.
Yep. Yeah.
Ugh, so creepy.
Who leveled up, Dave?
Elaine.
Yeah, that's
Elaine.
what we call.
100%. That chapter we've been waiting books for.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is
So
funny
it
that
was
it took
so
the
nice.
Robin Hood note, as Eric read it earlier, from what's his face to make her stand upright. But that was like the linchpin.
Camelot.
It was the final straw, and that was it. It was go time, and it was just so. The way she did it was so satisfactory.
Yes,
because
it was.
It wasn't just
We didn't get the satisfaction of the discovery of the Bowl of Winds, but we did get this.
It wasn't just like grabbing them by their ear with the power and being like, I'm stronger than you, I'm going to browbeat you into
No.
it. She did it like the right way. I
Yeah.
would have reacted the other way. Like I would have been like, I'm stronger than you, I'm going
knocking
to take you
heads
all
together.
on.
Right.
And yeah, because that would have been one way. You could have just flexed, and they are supposed to
Sure.
respect you by
Because
the fact
of the way
that.
the society operates, the
But she
informal
didn't.
hierarchy. Sure.
This is big
So,
brain
yeah.
moves for the 18-year-old.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
I was super
I love it.
excited.
My level up was Matt for finding the cache that
yeah.
houses the Bowl of Winds.
The
We
random-
don't see it happen, but we know he did it.
The
He
random
wandered
luck.
off following that woman, and she led him right to the Bowl of Winds.
I
And
just
probably a
think this
bunch
is-
of other Angreal.
I just
Yeah.
think this is a fairy tale thing that hasn't happened yet.
You're right.
I don't believe it.
Well,
I need
it's,
evidence.
It's Jordan's. I mean, you got to get used to Jordan's writing here, man. It's been 6 books.
I'm questioning it though. That's it.
If you're
That's all I'm
reading,
doing.
I know you are, but if you're reading and it feels like, hey, I missed something, you
Oh, no.
probably didn't.
no.
You
I know.
probably didn't miss anything.
is-
What you think is happening is probably happening.
Yeah, I
He
just
is
don't.
known to do that.
just
Like
don't- I
coming
don't
right in the
support
middle of that trial with Elaine, you're sitting there going, wait. It takes so long to orient. But once you do, you realize, you finally figure out, oh, there's an informal trial happening here. Not really so informal when it
Yeah,
came
but
down to it.
Oh shoot!
Right, yeah. Yeah, it was quite formal.
There were definite rules that it just took her a little bit to pick up on.
She
like,
definitely, though, she did go back a little bit and say, "Oh, I'm not sure if he actually has it, though." I do remember that happening. So we shall see.
Right. He doesn't have it in his possession. He just found where the cash is.
Yeah, cash.
Yes. That.
Cash.
Who leveled up for you, Adam?
Morgase leveled up for me.
Okay, I could see that.
Why?
Because she's now in the clutches of Moradin.
Poindexters. She was just like causing absolute chaos.
Well, but she misfired.
Well, no, she did that
fault.
with the balefall.
That was the pigeons.
But before that, she was just going through everybody.
Who?
And then
I don't understand what you're saying. Who was she going through?
She messed up a whole crowd of people that were in her way.
Oh, she was just snapping people's bottoms with the power and their legs and stuff.
Yeah. It was great. Good for her.
Pinching butts with the power.
Good for her, especially after the fact that she was. I mean, I don't look down on it. She's a terrible being, but she just got the garbage messed out of her in these.
She did.
In these
so
chapters.
now she's taking it out on these unwitting.
So she's doing that, and then
Ibudarans.
she uses balefire, which doesn't go well. But then she's so proud of herself that she just thinks that she's going.
Well, and then she's not because she realizes she just set up a shining beacon for anybody that can channel in the area.
Yeah, but she thinks to herself that she's going to make Thalion and Ispen crawl. So she's all up in her. She's all up in her stuff.
Well, right. She's like most people in her position. She's more than eager to do to others what she's just had done to herself.
She's gonna have to find a vacuole.
Rather than learning the lesson of, hey, maybe people don't like being treated this way. She's like, oh, I got treated poorly. I can't wait to treat other people more poorly.
That's what servants are for.
What a terrible person that is.
I do want to give a little shout out to the Aes Sedai here too, because God bless you for actually recognizing someone above you.
Right.
Correctly.
They snapped into shape real fast.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way Aes Sedai society works, unless you're.
It's nice to see it happen when it is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elida. Elida will not recognize anybody else as a superior, regardless of.
Elida.
Yeah. Lest any of us.
I also liked in the my Willow almost was what's his face, the sack of potato suet guy that rides the horses and the horse thief, Vannon, how he's Vannon. Infatuated with Elaine.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But he is the one that spots Ispan, Phaleon, and Old Cully.
Well, right, because he's a master spy, but like
he's good. He's really into Elaine.
He's just so funny how he's so every time Elaine comes up, he's like giddy as a schoolgirl.
Yeah, and
he loves him some Elaine.
Yeah.
No, Matt is not having it.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Jack of the Shadows. Join us for episode 17 when we'll chat about A Crown of Swords, chapters 31 through 36. Until then, may you rest in the Creator's hand.
May you know good hunting, young bull, and cheese to give you many cups.
Toviandi se tovias again.
Woohoo!
We did it.
Giddy up.
We did it.